Hey, driver. Sorry about all that mess with Oppie. There's no question, Oppie is a once-in-a-generation genius. I've watched her manipulate wavelengths with nanometer precision without batting an eye. So, yeah, to see her go from being the sharpest person in the room to what she is now is disappointing. This place, it leeches away your sanity day by day. So for Oppie to live here in complete isolation, locked away with only bad memories and expired medication, nothing good comes of that.
I'd feel a hell of a lot better if I knew why she suddenly cares so much about the remnants.
Any one of those things is bad for you. All three is just asking for disaster. Well, at least you boys have each other.
Speaking of Oppie, you're not gonna like this, Francis.
But I'm starting to think we can't do this alone. Look, it's not that I doubt our abilities. But no one knows the zone like that old man.
You heard what she said. She'll sabotage this remnant before helping us.
You know she doesn't have access to the remnant, right?
Come around to our jobs.
No, she won't. Nothing in the 13 years we spent in R&D prove that she's open to working with anyone. She dug her heels in so deep that she wrestled everyone down into the grave with her. I can't be involved if she is.
Hey, Tobias, any chance you could put us in contact with one of the other 100-odd people you said were out here? Maybe somebody with fewer hang-ups about acting like a fucking grown-up.
Technology, but to tell the legends of the land.
I don't want anything to do with her. I don't want to talk to her. I don't want her advice. I don't want to hear her goddamn voice.
This isn't like you. What's going on, Francis? Is there something I should know?
No.
All your work in limb R&D, all the time you spent,
Your entire career, your entire life. You sacrificed it all for ARDA, and how did they thank you? With a black hole in your resume, where you can't tell anyone what you did. You couldn't even tell people where you wiped your ass for 10 years. So no, I'm not letting this go. Not for me, but especially not for you.
That's not... Never mind.
You know, sometimes I wonder, how much of you staying here was actually to hunt these legends? Or if it was because you had nowhere else to go.
I do wonder how many of those people who did leave are actually still alive.
Are you ready, driver? Okay, first off, I've loaded up 3 locations on your ARC device map. You see them?
Yeah, head to whichever strikes your fancy.
You sending them to the visions?
Sure am. We're gonna use this.
My optical vassalizer. We shouldn't use that.
Why not?
I mean, it's been decades. No way that thing is in any sort of working shape.
I've been fixing it up in secret, and I'm sorry. Don't be mad. It's gonna be a surprise for your birthday. Oh, I've gone ahead and made an itty-bitty modification to your headset, driver. I've hooked up the basalizer here to modulate your scan function. Think of it like an extra layer of mayonnaise on your technology sandwich.
What are you using the vassalizer for?
No spoilers. We have to tell the story from the beginning. Driver, get ready to feast your eyes on the visions.
Tobias, you are wasted on this place. You would have made a hell of a treasure hunter anywhere else. I should ask around the VSS once I'm out of here. See if I get him on the spot. Did the car just buck forwards? Whoa! Oh god, I do not need this right now.
know the remnants in the mass hallucination are related, maybe Laura's visions can help us out.
Ah, the Bigfoot mural. My personal favorite. Hey, is it just me or did this mural look different before?
That's
Probably the stability missing
changing.
with the paint over time. It's been decades after all.
Something's definitely off. Hey, where's our old notes from when we took a field trip out that way? Driver, why don't you go ahead to the next one while we investigate this?
Driver, if you come across a mushroom like the one in the mural, do not eat it. No matter how tasty it might look.
You're speaking from personal experience. And let me tell you, it wasn't pretty.
Oh, just thinking about it makes me want to puke all over again. You've probably passed the biogenerators by now. They're our source of power in the mid-zone, and one of the best demonstrations of renewable limb tech. Yes, these battery farms keep our lights on, but more importantly, they're also the only place in the entire zone where anomalized mushrooms grow.
And guess who turned out to be the world's biggest fan of those mushrooms?
Cryptids are bad enough on their own.
And the vision foretold its arrival in the zone.
It started with those pods hanging from the battery farms were found chewed up. At first, they blamed it on the
Local wildlife. This was back when we used to have some. Then, the sightings of 10-foot-tall creatures started that didn't attract much attention on their own.
Not until the first footprints were found. The Olympic Peninsula has always had a collection of Bigfoot sightings, but they were rare until Bigfoot had its first taste of the anomalized mushrooms. Then it couldn't stay away. And that's when the Squatches came knocking. They jumped the walls, set up camp, and they got to investigate it. Once they learned of the Sasquatch's appetite for these mushrooms, they cultivated entire farms of the stuff.
For months, they propagated mushrooms and set traps. And for months, evidence mounted that Sasquatch was making its rounds and evading those traps.
until one night the experts disappeared.
Bigfoot got them, no question.
Come on, all 8 at once? How is that possible?
Oh, getting all 8 at once is easy. You just get the most cowardly one first, and then all the brave ones will jump in to try and save them.
This is where your theory comes in, Francis. You tell him. Oh, look at me babbling away. Francis, you explain it. It's so good.
No, it's just... I'd rather not.
Come on, we talked about this. You should be proud of your work. Toot your own horn.
Not this time.
Okay, well, Francis's theory, his entire branch of research was that the zone exhibits a property seen nowhere else on Earth. Every phenomena that occurs here leaves its fingerprint forever on the physical space. So he created this device to pick up on these sub-physical after effects. How did you explain it? It was like identifying a whale's favorite color using only the wake it leaves behind. The rest was science mumbo-jumbo.
It's a form of electromagnetic imprint. Anyway, it was a long time ago.
And what a better time than now to try it again.
We are riding the razor edge between science and madness here. I love it. Whoa! Another! Who threw that? The zone giveth, I suppose. I'll take sky goodies the same as any other kind. Ah, those must be the mushrooms. I guess that means I'm in its territory. Best step carefully and keep the crowbar on hand. Alright, what are you trying to tell me?
The great pile-up. You know, if you catch the mural at the right angle, when the boats.
No chance. It's a paint smudge. Nothing more.
Believe me, it's true. I've seen it.
Did you see that, Francis? Oh,
There you
Francis,
are.
look. Look here. It's different from our sketch when we visited in '82.
It's all scrambled, but the shape seems familiar. If you tilt your head, doesn't that kind of look like Mount Olympus?
Oh, Francis, you flippin' genius. It absolutely is. Wait. Let's look back at the first one. What's different there?
That shape right there, is that Hook Valley?
Holy smokes. Wait, pull up all the topographical maps of the peninsula. If we look around the areas
Where you get that view of Mount Olympus. See, Francis? I told you your basilizer would work.
I don't think this is the basilizer's doing.
Driver, we're on to something. Get to that third vision.
So if the paint is a remnant, as is the car, the signal in the deep zone is tied to the remnants.
But I'm telling you, the helmsman never made it out of the zone. He died here.
Not this again. I still don't know why you're so convinced he existed in the first place.
Driver, back me up here. This is how the story goes. It was the winter of '72. A ship set sail down the Columbia River 100 miles east of here. The helmsman was overcome by bad weather, and while in a particularly foggy patch, the boat hit something, and the impact threw him from the deck. When he woke up, he was on a boat on this very lake, smack in the middle of the zone, with no idea how he got there. He had with him a ridiculous amount of cash and paid anyone and everyone to get him out of the zone. But no matter how he tried to leave, on foot, in a transport, he would always head into a fog and reemerge on another boat. At last count, the great pileup was 20 boats high and 30 boats wide.
A limb duplication glitch, nothing more.
And you, of all people, blaming Lim Tech instead of a good old-fashioned mystery?
It doesn't add up. Arda's favorite pastime was carting people out of the zone. How could someone actually fail to escape? And a mysterious man with a backpack full of cash, and the one place he can't spend it. Seems awfully fishy to me.
So about that last vision. I can't even look at it. Francis, you explain it.
Maybe you've already seen them, driver. A freestanding bright blue door in its frame, out in the wilderness with nothing around it. If you do see one, don't get anywhere close to it.
I don't want to talk about it.
He was pretty close to a doorway when it opened. It's called the inverting doorway. When the door is shut, it's safe. But once in a while, it opens, and everything near it is turned inside out. Its victims are mostly bears, squirrels, and birds. They all go through hell. Meat and bones on the outside, fur and feathers on the inside. It's not fun to see. Once, a group of hikers didn't heed the warning, and
No, we're done here, driver. If you see one, you stay away from it. That's all you need to know. Let's go.
Wouldn't that be fucked up, right? Anyway, I'm Rod Serling. Between the corrosive gas, radiation, anti-gravity, and now fucking cryptids, the Twilight Zone is the last thing I need. Alright, I'm keeping my distance from this one.
The inverting doorway.
No. I don't like this one. Oh, bingo!
Whoa!
See that pattern in the last mural? That flower only grows above a certain elevation. Put the three locations together, and you've got a square mile in the northeast corner of the deep zone. Huh. The visions were pointing towards something the entire time.
Hey, Oppie, you can stop pretending to ignore us now.
Take a look at this. Fine work. We've pinned down the location for the source
Of the mass hallucination. That's where the driver needs to go.
Well, what do you know?
Well, I knew the basilizer worked. What did I tell you, huh?
He still doesn't know, Francis.
Know what? Uppy?
Not my
Bobby,
story
don't
to
you
share.
fucking dare.
My theory. And that basilizer, they're illegitimate.
Wait, what are you saying?
I built that device to prove my imprint theory, and it was on the verge of getting the results I needed. But my research funding was running out. So, I forged the data. Not much, just enough to justify more time. I was so close. I knew the breakthrough was right around the corner. But ARDA found out. That's why I was reassigned and my clearance revoked.
Wait, you told me you changed labs voluntarily.
8 years of research with nothing to show for it, and then for that to happen, I couldn't face you.
That doesn't mean your theory's wrong. I still think there's something to it. There's a common thread with some of the remnant stories, like the telephone switchboard. The ones that seem to recall the past somehow. Maybe the remnants access those imprints, write them like a needle in the groove of a record.
Don't. You don't have to do that. It's in the past. I don't care about it anymore.
But listen, I've got this suspicion, right? If we can just get the car to the mass hallucination source, then we find they can prove your theory. It's worth a try, isn't it?
I'm tired of trying, Tobias. I've tried all my life, and it didn't go so well.
Look, I don't have one of those fancy degrees that you and Oppie have. The
Interesting thing about that deep zone area you identified. I ran every coordinate in that area through the ARDA database, and what turns up? But access logs with entry records for Dr. K up through March 1963.
What?
No, the doctor died in 1961. In the lab accident.
So we were told. Then, I found access logs for both that deep zone site and Red Meadow. Years and years worth of activity.
Red Meadow Research Facility? But it was demolished the same year. After the structural damage caused by the... lied about that too, didn't they?
Safe to assume they've lied about
So,
everything, especially the
Driver should give
parts
Red
that are
Meadow
true.
Records a visit. If Dr. K didn't die that day, I'd like to know what was keeping him so busy.
So would I, but... do we have time for this? We don't know how long the driver's got with that remnant.
And that's why we need this information. Whatever Dr. K was doing relates to all of this. It may be the key to what lies at the end of the road for the driver.
I... agree with you. God, I hate saying that.
Driver, I've marked the Red Meadow facility on your route planner. Head there whenever you're ready.
There we go. Some brand new tools, courtesy of Magic Space Energy. Now all I need is... thermosap crystals. This shopping list is only getting longer. But that completes the last of the lead plating. High time for a new look, I think. Because as we all know, the red ones go faster. Now, fixing this weird behaviour with the radio. When the radio toggles, car jogs forward. And fixed. Next phase of the journey is out north.
coverage of limb technology is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at first. In the decade between 1955 to 1965, limb is called many things. The promise of the future, the herald of a new age, the never spoken of again. You don't have to dig very deep for the gaps in the story to emerge. The presidential demonstration is the only physical proof we ever see of it. Compared to the Manhattan Project, developed under airtight shroud of secrecy, why was Lim paraded around in the papers? And if it really was the technological quantum leap to answer all our wildest dreams, why did it blink out of existence? The story of Lim technology is one hell of a maze, and the key to it is a woman named Dr. Ophelia Turner. Did Ophelia Turner, by all measure a failed physicist as far as her public record goes, truly invent Lim technology? Or was she held up as a Rosie the Riveter for the Cold War? An Atomic Annie to excite the masses during a no-holds-barred race against the Soviet Union? Was she a myth, martyr, or monster? A figment of the imagination? True savior? Or convenient scapegoat? I'm Chiaki Saruhashi, and in this 9-part series, I aim to find out.
I think I'm starting to understand why Oppie's been hiding out here this whole time. The press circuit must have been nightmares. No points for why they call it Red Meadow, I guess.
Oh, jeez. You know, I remember Red Meadow like it was yesterday. You up to your eyeballs in paperwork. Francis coated in chalk dust from the blackboards.
You mistaking my lab notes for a trash pile and throwing away weeks of work.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see it again.
They bulldozed that facility to the ground. There's nothing left to reminisce about.
Do you ever regret all this?
From the very second I heard your voice coming through my speakers.
I mean, everything that happened. Handing over Lynn, the way the project ended. It comes to Alan. Your career. The entire damn Olympic Peninsula. But you're still here.
So are you. You chose your urban legends over everything else.
And you wonder if I regret it?
Oh, I have no interest in regret. I want to know if you ever felt that leaving was a real option.
After everything I've seen and heard and felt here, no, not a chance.
Then we have that in common.
Are you real?
How's Francis?
He hasn't left the bedroom.
I'm sorry you didn't know about his demotion. It wasn't my secret to tell.
It's fine. This is between him and me. So, what did Alan tell you about his work? He was second in command of Dr. K's lab, after all.
Alan didn't discuss his work with me, nor did I share mine with him.
Wait, you were head of the whole stinking department. You must have known something about what their lab was doing.
If there was anything useful to be found, I'd have sussed it out already. That's all I did after the accident. Try and fail to find any answers.
I'd feel a lot better about this if I had a gun. Do not trust this.
Dr. K's access records were coded to the lab that used to be here.
I'm feeling less optimistic by the second. Not a scour this place clean.
Well, something's here. We just can't see it.
Oh, following a hunch. Not your usual MO, Oppie.
No, but being suspicious of ARDA is.
Welcome to ARDA's back
Where are you
rooms.
going? That should have been the end of the facility.
According to the blueprints, anyway.
Security protocol activated.
shit.
Well, well. After all these years, and ARDA still has something to hide.
We're definitely onto something now.
Driver, anything you find down there, scan and transmit it back to us. We'll work on disengaging the security protocol.
Yes, ma'am. Ah, encrypted audio files.
Okay, here's something. This thing in the deep zone, they called it the well.
Oh, fantastic. Tobias, run those reports through the decryptor and see what you can find. Oh, you'll like this, Tobias. Your remnant origin story, if you will.
Let me guess. You're about to ruin a good urban legend with a bunch of science.
Fine, I'll read this one myself. Nice work, driver. We'll review these and summarize our findings after. These lab notes are completely fresh.
What about these diagrams, though? It looks like he was trying to convey something.
You can admire the doctor's newfound art skills all you want. You won't find anything useful in them.
This is a decrypted record of the accident. Poppy, are you sure you want to hear this? It's got details about Alan's final moments.
It's been over 30 years. I'm past ready. Go on, driver. Keep snooping and see what else you can find.
What? Who threw a paint bucket at me?
Alan's lab notes. Maybe my late husband sent us something useful from the grave after all.
And you're all clear.
Give us a moment. We'll let you know what we found in all this data. You can make your way back to the auto shop after you're done scouring the place. And driver, thank you. Driver, you hit the jackpot. We've got a lead on what you're heading toward in the deep zone. Tobias, give us the rundown about the well.
ARDA classified it as a hotspot of ultra-high energy gamma radiation. Its eruptions were spontaneous, and ultimately ARDA made no conclusion about what caused it, when it would blow, or how destructive it would be. ARDA, of course, wanted to control this bottomless well of energy. So they brought in Dr. K and Alan to research activation and containment. They discovered a way to reliably trigger the well, and that was the remnants.
And that's what the remnants have been leading people towards. The well. This second report's a good one. Ready to hear where the remnants came from? The original remnants were created in Dr. K's lab. They aimed to create a trigger for activating the well. By infusing objects with a carefully calibrated limb wave, the ones that shared a resonant frequency would...
Yeah, just get to the good stuff.
You know, you'd be a much better ghost hunter if it weren't for that unfortunate attention span. Reading this makes it obvious how the remnants ended up in the wild.
Wait, what? How?
The gamma ray surge that caused the mass hallucination event. That energy irradiated everything within a 10-mile radius. Objects with the right characteristics absorbed that energy and became the remnants people found out in the zone.
Wow. Francis would get a kick out of that one. I'll tell him later.
I've reviewed Dr. K's lab notes. And now we know what he was doing in that lab after the accident. Spinning in circles for years.
His injuries were real. Dr. K's radiation exposure should have been fatal.
And the minute he could stand on his feet again,
ARDA shuttled him right back to his lab and pinned the monkey to dance.
They allowed him to carry on in the hopes that he would reproduce anything useful. He worked for 2 whole years before they quietly retired him from his post.
Just thought he was scrambled to rein his attention by. You've got that accident record ready, Tobias? It's time.
Okay, then. September 14, 1961. ARDA's finalized report on what happened that night. Dr. K and Alan were testing the activation potential of lab-created remnants. That night was a run-of-the-mill remnant test. Nothing out of the ordinary. The remnant in question was a tungsten cube. At 3:23 a.m., the cube was brought towards the well. The well reacted at nominal levels. However, at the 500-meter distance, the cube was sucked into the well and triggered the gamma ray surge. The energy output continued ramping up, and at 15 seconds, showed no signs of stopping. Then,
Alan.
go on. I can handle it.
Dr. K testified that Alan engaged the suppression protocol and the kill switch, both of which failed. Dr. K ordered Alan to get to safety, but Alan insisted on staying at the controls. Only when he flipped the radiation polarity did the energy output plateau, then collapse back into itself. Alan's gamma radiation exposure was fatal due to his proximity to the well. If it weren't for him, the entire zone might have gone under.
That's who Alan was. Loyal until the very end.
I'm sorry, Oppie.
I'd expect nothing less from him.
Alan made the remnants to counteract the well. The car's the perfect opposite.
Once that car
Could
gets to
close
the
the well
we
for
can expect
good.
another gamma ray eruption. We'll need a way to cut it off. And I may have found the answer in Alan's lab notes. His work on that suppression technique was top-notch.
What's interesting is Dr. K and Alan didn't know any more than we do now. They had no conclusions about what the well is.
Or what the remnants did. Or how they interacted with this well. Maybe they're ladles that scoop out a metered amount of gamma radiation. Maybe they trigger an eruption that we can't stop and will destroy the zone if we get it too close.
That's a hell of a range. What are we going to do?
We keep going.
But if it's an eruption...
I already sacrificed the Olympic Peninsula once for little tech. How many chances for total and utter fallout does a gal get in her life, huh?
In another life, we would have made a fantastic team.
In no universe would I not have murdered you in your sleep.
Now we go into the deep zone. Easy peasy.
Except for the issue of the old wall.
Right, yeah. That.
You got some genius idea up your sleeve, huh?
Is that how you think it works? That scientists conjure up genius at will?
Well, yeah. Do you?
Well, in this case, I do. But don't expect it to work like that every time. Driver, the quarantine checkpoints will be the best way through the old wall, but they're death traps in their own right. But I designed something to help. Check out the blueprints I sent over. The old anomalies took up residence in the crossing points. It's not
Uh-oh.
enough to have a shield. The shield itself
Oh no,
needs
my
to be
brain's
shielded.
melting.
The energy drain on that shield is massive. It won't last you more than 5 seconds.
Yes, and?
You'll need to recharge on the go, but the Deep Zone's grid is completely dark.
You know, what if we could reroute our power into the deep zone? But we'd need to jumpstart the network somehow.
That car is basically the world's most overpowered electromagnet on wheels. The driver induces a current, then you open the electrical floodgates.
They'd have to induce the current the entire way through the old wall while making the crossing and maintaining speed.
I don't know what to tell you. If you don't believe the driver and that car's got what it takes by now, then go back to hunting ghosts. We've got a job to do here.
This could work. Are you in, Francis?
I don't know.
Look, we have a real chance of losing everything at the old wall. I'd like to not fail this far along.
How can we know this will work?
We don't. That's how science works. We form a theory, and we test it, and we fail, and fail, and fail, and only sometimes do we succeed.
Come on, Francis. Please?
Fine. I'll do it.
All right. The team is assembled.
Driver, get on with building that limb shield. We'll work on spinning up the power grid in the meantime.
Yeah, I'm in 2, by the way. Not that you fucking asked. It's a hell of a lot more than my neck at stake now. As ordered, 1 pseudoscience MacGuffin ready to roll. Chuck that in the boot so it doesn't get mangled before we even reach the start line.
Nice work on that limb shield, driver. We'll have the power grid prepped by the time you reach the old wall.
And if we're going to be diving straight into hell, I'm going to need the appropriate colour scheme. I've got time for 1 more round of upgrades, and they're going to need to be serious internal ones. No more sticky taping lead plates to the outside. We need power. Power!
Hoppy, I gotta ask. Were you around when the old wall was nearly breached?
You want to know if I was involved?
I mean, sure. No one knew more about where anomalies came from than you. Heck, I mean, you know, the only reason anyone knew anything about anomalies was because of the research branch that you all started to build.
Yes. And we developed ways to prevent anomalies, not create them.
I mean, you can't prevent something if you don't know where it's created in the first place.
So you did pick up a thing or two around us scientists.
The real reason they won't let us into the zone? It's not because they don't want us discovering what's really there. It's because they've been tunneling. They're using this technology to create shortcuts all around the planet. So you can go into a tunnel in Washington and come out in China or Egypt or maybe a mall or something. And ARDA will control all these tunnels and use them to regulate trade, tell us where we can or can't go. Anyway, they've already built the first tunnel. And you know where it goes? Idaho. Because they're coming after me for tax evasion. I owe $54. Take a good long look at that zone. All those botanists, biologists, chemists. ARDA's using our backyard as a test bed for terraforming. They're reshaping our planet right under our noses. They're changing the oxygen content of the air. They're training giant electric moles to magnetize the soil. They've got robot dogs. And everyone who lives in there gets to enjoy it first. The rest of us dumbos don't know what's coming. And one day, when they pull that lever, they'll change this whole planet. But I'm ready for them. I know how to protect myself. Mayonnaise.
I need to fucking meet this guy, if only to say that I have.
Welcome back. This is Frequency File, Episode 2. In the last episode, I told you about the curious case of Dr. Ophelia Turner. When it comes to this enigmatic individual, one of three versions is true: myth, martyr, or monster. To be able to weigh her in turns as heretic, genius, or scapegoat, we must first set the stage. When I started down this path to discover who she was, what she did, and ultimately what happened to her, I didn't expect it to lead me to one of the strangest mysteries of the Pacific Northwest, the Olympic Exclusion Zone. But let me rewind a bit. In northwest Washington state, there are 3,600 square miles of vibrant wilderness called the Olympic Peninsula. Bounded by water on three sides, it was a wonderland for outdoorsy types, with snow-capped mountains and salmon-bearing rivers and pristine rainforests. Up until 1955, it was the residence of 100,000 people, including Ophelia Turner. It was her birthplace, her hometown, and, it turns out, ground zero and sacrificial lamb for the promise of limb technology. In true fashion, the government never comes out and says that's what led to the creation of the Olympic Exclusion Zone. But the chain of events were in plain sight. Strange accidents, leading to the government's claim of eminent domain and subsequent seizure of the peninsula, the evacuation of 100,000 people, and the attempt and abject failure at containing the rumors that spread like wildfire. Because it turns out, even with the government's resources at your disposal, keeping secrets is a tricky business. You can bet there was plenty of talk as a result. Lucky me, because I had plenty of questions.
I wonder if this Chiaki lady is out here somewhere, hunting for Oppie somewhere else in the zone. Whoa. I get the feeling this is not a place of honour.
You're not the first to try crossing the old wall since the anomalies moved in. But we'll make sure you're the first to survive. Two things to keep in mind. First, to get through the old wall, there are 5 crossing points. You need to induce the electrical grid the entire way by driving the car close enough and fast enough along the conductors. You'll see them as you go. Once you jumpstart the grid, Tobias will route the mid-zone power your way, but no induction, no power, no crossing. Second, watch your battery gauge. You will live or die by that thing. Got it? Good. Start by connecting the power grid at the first crossing point. The controls will be up in the observation tower.
Punch the throttle and carry the charge to the crossing door. Use the limb shield to make sure the car doesn't melt on the way. Got it.
There are old shuttle stops at each crossing point. Use them to recharge your battery and hope they're still in working condition after all these years.
The racers are at the line and are waiting for the green light. And they're off! It's working! It's working!
Francis?
Levels are good, holding steady.
Car's holding strong. I think I've got a flat, but the protection is still good.
Keep it up, driver. Getting some interference, Tobias. The power supply is wavering. I'm working on it. Local battery farm's putting up a fuss. She hasn't been taxed like this in a while, but I'm easing her into it, don't worry. Battery farms 1, 2, 3 are reporting complete power drain. They're spent.
How long to recharge?
Could take up to the day. Oh, I got this.
I've just passed 2C. I think I'm about halfway. Just need to stop and make some quick repairs. Oh, fuck. Okay, I'm moving.
I'm on it. Oh, shit.
Get that power back up. The gate at the final crossing point won't open without it.
I'm rerouting power from battery farm 6.
Easy. Too much and you'll blow out your control center.
Too little and the entire array's going down. We have no choice.
Battery farm 6 core's overloaded. It's shutting down. We can't lose the remnant. I won't let it go.
Get back inside! The radiation's peaking.
I've got to repair it.
Don't do anything stupid, Tobias. This is not the time for heroics.
We're too close. Your theory. We can still prove it.
Stop! It's too dangerous out there! Tobias! Please, Tobias, come back! Tobias, please, come back!
I'm at the battery farm. These boxes are liquefying. I can bypass it.
Francis, I need you back at the control board.
Not now.
The minute Tobias reroutes that line, we need to push the connection. Miss it by a split second and we lose the entire power grid.
Almost ready. Please don't.
Tobias, for God's sake! They need you more than they need me. There'll be another remnant.
I'm rerouting the grid now. I'll be ready for you.
Give us the signal, Tobias. Tobias, stay with us.
I got you, Hoppy. Friends. Well, what do you know? One time, I find myself out of things to say. Hoppy, take care of him for me.
You'll take care of him, your damn self. Get out of there. I'm not worth it.
Francis, I love you forever. I love you forever.
Power's back online. Francis, now!
Tobias, answer!
Nobody's answering.
Don't do it! You can't go out there! Driver, the power's holding steady. You can open that final gate.
need to sign